Alright, so welcome to a brand new video, and today I'm just going to be going over one of my e-commerce clients who owns a dog clothing brand. And essentially yesterday we generated over $6,000 in sales, and I just want to show you exactly how I was able to do that so that you can also do that for your own e-commerce store. Or if you're running ads for clients, then of course you could do it for your client's e-commerce store. And there's really one main piece of advice that I would like to give that I think that would definitely be helpful in your advertising journey. So let's get straight into it. The first thing that I want to do is refresh my screen so that you guys know that this is not photoshopped. This is an actual real advertising account that I'm running ads for my clients. So now that it's refreshed, what we're going to be focusing on in this video is the sales that we generated just yesterday, which the returns are phenomenal. So let me just go over here, and then let me just go to yesterday, and then you can see in terms of the ad spend, yesterday the client spent around about $1,230.85. Now Facebook is reporting that in terms of revenue, $8,000 was over $8,000 was generated, but this is not true. Let me just come over here. Let me just go to the Shopify store, and then again I'm going to refresh it. So again, you know that none of this is photoshopped or anything like that. It's actual, real, accurate data. And then let me just go to month to date, and then let me just go to yesterday. Click on apply, and then this is the actual data. So they basically spent 1,200 in order to generate back just over $6,000 in sales, which is amazing. So there's really one main piece of advice that I want to give. Now, in future videos, I'm going to be going over what these campaigns actually are and how you can implement them yourself. But the main piece of advice that I want to give, which I believe has really helped running advertising, not just for this client, but for other clients my other e-commerce clients. So if you pay attention, the first thing that you're going to be noticing, and by the way, we're going to be focusing on the audience targeting here. We're not really going to be focusing on the actual ads. I've done previous videos on how to create an ad, and in the future, I'll create new updated videos on ad creation. But just for this video, for this purpose, we're just going to be focusing on the audience targeting specifically. So when you take a look at all the audiences that, obviously these audiences are just created today, but let's focus on the audiences that were running and got sales yesterday. I think the number one thing you'll notice is, like I said in the beginning of this video, that this is a dog clothing brand. Now, what most people would do is when they're creating advertisements and when they're doing their audience targeting, they're going to be focusing on dog related interest. So they're going to be focusing on different dog breeds like a Chihuahua. They're going to be focusing on different dog interest and dog related Facebook pages. And I've tried doing that, and unfortunately it does get sales, but it comes to a certain point, as you can see over here, that the returns are just not worth it. So if I go to, I believe, last month, if we come over here, I actually don't even think I've tested this audience. I'm sure that I have. So yeah, here's a perfect example. So you can see over here that this dog breed audience, we spent $41.54, and the best it could do is bring us one initiate checkout. So for this reason is the reason why I turned it off. So this was the pattern that I noticed. Whenever I focused on targeting any dog related keywords, I'll notice that the cost to acquire a customer, the cost per purchase, which is basically this right here, the cost per result, it's all the same thing, it would be too high, and as a result the client won't be able to generate a profit on the first sale. So what I decided to do is, rather than focusing on targeting dog related keywords or dog related interest when I'm running Google ads here, since those interests were working, I decided to focus on, okay, let's look at the customer profile. Now, the customer profile will be a male or a female who's aged 25 to about 60, well, 25 to about 40, Of course, the older dog, whether it's a French bulldog, whether it's a Chihuahua, you get the idea. Now, when we target dog-related interest, unfortunately, it doesn't really work in terms of a positive return on investment. So then, I ask myself the question, and you should ask yourself the question: what other related keywords, what other interest does this customer profile have that you can target, and most importantly, your competitors are not targeting, that will allow you to generate like phenomenal returns, as you can see from yesterday's numbers. So that's when I started focusing on, okay, let's stop focusing on targeting dog related keywords, because of course we are not the only advertising, well, only advertisers on Facebook. There's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of other dog related brands targeting the exact same keywords. Now let's focus in targeting interest. So let's focus on interest that competitors are not targeting. That's going to give us a lower CPM, and because we're going to have a lower CPM, we're going to have a much higher chance of reaching a greater volume of people per thousand, basically, impressions. And that gives us a better probability of getting more add to carts, initiate checkouts, and of course purchases. So that's the reason why I decided to stop targeting dog related keywords. Interest, sorry, I've been running some Google ads, that's why it's in my lingo, and focus on targeting other interest. So of course, the next obvious interest would be clothing related interest, which is the reason why I have Nike, I have Jordans, I have Forever 21 clothing, I have Zahara, because that's the next best thing. Since it's a dog clothing brand, and then I started to think a little bit deeper. Okay, so there will be a percentage of this niche that, yes, they're going to be interested in, Nike, they're going to be interested in Forever 21, and they may shop in Zahara, even though I think Zahara is a UK brand. But anyway, they're also going to be interested in jogging, like going out, being active. So that's why I started, testing interests like jogging, for example. And again, since obviously I'm from the UK, so since this is an American audience, since we're targeting the US, a lot of them, a lot of our customer demographic is going to be interested in basketball. So that's the reason why I started targeting basketball related keywords. And not just basketball, a lot of them are also going to be interested in music. More specifically, people like Travis Scott, people like ASAP Rocky, people like Drake. You get the idea now. So that is really the message in just 7 minutes, that whatever product you are selling, the likelihood is there's going to be 10, 20, 100, maybe 100 plus other competitors targeting the same interest you are targeting. So you're going to make sure that your ads are really, really good in order to stand out. Now, in order to do that, you're going to have to do a lot of testing. What I'm saying is there's a much easier way that you can get away with having a mediocre ad, or basically, when I say mediocre, I mean an image of the product with like a discount. That's basically what we're doing here. It's nothing special, it's nothing extraordinary. It's just a catalog advertisement that basically has a discount with a promo code. That's it. There's nothing really special, there's nothing revolutionary, there's nothing crazy about what we're doing from an advertising perspective. So, in order to generate sales and generate sales at a great return, my suggestion is, what other interest is your target audience interested in? No pun intended. Because at the end of the day, you are selling to human beings, and human beings have hobbies, human beings have interest, human beings have other things going on in their life, that if you target those interests, for example, what music do they like? For example, what do they like to do in their spare time? Do they like to go jogging? Do they like to go camping? Do they like to go fishing? Or, for example, you can do food related stuff. So the next bunch of interests that I'm going to target are going to be food related. So McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, Wendy's, you get the idea. And when you target these keywords, so when you target these interests, that's when you're going to start seeing these phenomenal returns. Like yesterday, this particular ad got a 45 times return, and we're specifically targeting parties. Another one would be this one, which again we're targeting concerts. Another one would be a musician. So you see, the best performing interest at the interest stand are not actually really dog related. They're focused on something else that the customer has interest in that we can target so that we can get a lower CPM, we can get more visibility for the ad, more people see the ad, more people click, add to cart, initiate checkout, and purchase. And that's how I was able to generate such a phenomenal return on my client's investment. And that's basically it for this video. That's really all the advice that I wanted to give. It's just mainly try to see what are the interests that your customer profile for your brand or for your client's brand is interested in. And my suggestion is, if you're struggling to target the obvious interest that is directly related to the product that you or your client selling, then try other related interest. And in fact, it could be non-related. However, because you're selling to a human being, human beings, they need to eat, so you can target food related interest. Human beings, they like to go out, listen to music, go to concerts, go to parties. You get the idea. Try targeting those interests, because those are the interests where you're going to see phenomenal return on your investment. So yeah, that's basically it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.